If there is anything President Obama has done well in the past 7 years, it's been fanning the flames of racial divide in our nation, all with the goal of advancing his own political agenda. Born of this racial divide, incited by Obama, is the Black Lives Matter movement. And it seems Democratic politicians are now considering the movement to be representative of the black community as a whole. And the pandering is obvious. But instead of pandering to the black vote via a movement that is hardly an accurate representation of the black community as a whole, politicians on both sides of the aisle need to offer different solutions than the division offered by President Obama. Joining me now to discuss is President of STAND and Senior Fellow for Family Research Council, Bishop E.W. Jackson. Bishop Jackson, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, our cities are in shambles with homicides happening all over the country. Our education system is a mess of political correctness. Unemployment is still taking its toll on individuals and on families. And now we have racial tension. But it seems like no one's really talking about what's happening in urban America. Why do you think this is?
Well, I'm not sure why, to tell you the truth. It's a difficult, intractable problem, isn't it? And after all, the graveyard of politicians is littered with the bodies of those who have tried and failed miserably. And so it's not something that's easy to tackle. But I think we've come to a point where we realize that private sector solutions are always going to be more effective and efficient than government. And if we get churches and businesses together working on these issues, I think we can make some progress. So we're going to do what we can to try to make sure this becomes part of the discussion.
Good, good. It should be part of the discussion. Now, I know this question is a lot, but what can be done in the practical sense, not by the government, but by private sector, to address some of these issues, such as homicide rates, unemployment, and the racial tension that exists right now in urban America?
Well, first of all, we have to look at it in two ways, short-term and long-term. Short-term, we've clearly got to get the murder rate down. We've got to get violence under control. We've got to get these gangs off the streets. And that's going to mean cooperation between the community and the police on a short-term basis. We've got to open up communications between law-abiding citizens and the police so that we can make these neighborhoods safer. Just a week ago or so, a 9-year-old kid shot 9 times as some sort of vendetta against his gangland father. This stuff has got to be brought to a stop. So short-term, that's part of the answer. Long-term, we've got to have cultural reformation in the inner city and in the black community. We've got to restore the importance of education. We've got to restore the value of family and integrity and honor and character and decency. We've got to stop with these slogans like snitches get stitches and start talking about building better lives for ourselves and helping people to do that and honoring those who are trying to do so.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to hear stories. I read that story as well about the 9-year-old child who was murdered in something related to a gang behavior that his father had been involved in. It's just heartbreaking to read about that. I mean, it's sad when anyone loses their life, but for someone so innocent and for a reason such as that, it's heartbreaking. Now, in your opinion, you talk about the bigger picture needing to be a reformation of character for people to step back and get back to traditional values where people are valuing responsibility and family. In your opinion, is the family the answer to these issues in the long term?
I was at a very large community meeting a couple of weeks ago in a city in Virginia where they're having, of course, the same difficulties cities all over the country are having. And all of the public officials were giving their ideas. And one little old lady stepped up to the mic and said, when are we going to get back to teaching our children respect for authority? And I thought, how are you going to teach them respect for authority if there's no father in the home to help instill that in them? So long term, we've got to begin to restore the importance of family. We've got to start teaching children that it's important that you obey adults. It's important that you listen, that fathers who are fathering these children out of wedlock need to go home to their wives or their girlfriends and marry them or something, but take an interest in the lives of these children. Look, the social problems of the inner city can all be traced back primarily to one major problem, and that is fathers have abandoned their children. 72% of children born in the inner cities are born out of wedlock. In a place like Richmond, Virginia, for example, 80% are born out of wedlock. That's an epidemic, And that's got to be addressed if we're going to see real cultural reformation. Then we can start talking about the importance of education, the importance of building a decent life for yourself, the importance of entrepreneurship and hard work and earning respect rather than walking around acting like the first time someone looks at you, they're dissing you and you have a right to shoot them or kill them or something like that. We've got to restore these fundamental values that have always been central in the Black community and unfortunately have been lost in the last generation.
You're